Hello, Pace 111 class. It's Steve. I hope that you're doing well. Our assignment for week number 4 is for you to create a schedule where you are integrating your academic obligations with all of your other obligations you have in your life. That might mean work, family, and so forth. So I thought a timely topic that goes along with creating a schedule is that of what we call self-management. So we're going to talk a little bit about self-management and how you can apply self-management to creating an effective study schedule. So here we have listed some of the common themes and topics related to self-management. So when we're talking about self-management, we're really meaning, in a lot of ways, time management. But really, it's about managing yourself and managing your obligations, all that you have to get done, figuring out what needs to get done first, what can wait and be put on the back burner. So we're going to talk about these 5 topics that you see here: procrastination, prioritization, accountability, value, and results. Now, as adult learners, even though you may not be a full-time college student, there is a sense probably that you've gotten that being a college student is a full-time job. And when you look at all of these different tasks that college students are asked to engage in, to demonstrate learning, it really does turn into a kind of a full-time job mindset. So even though many of you have full-time jobs, you have families and so forth, adding college to it can feel like you're working overtime, beyond overtime, when you think about all of these different tasks that we have listed here. So as you know, for week number 5, the team project is managing distractions. So being with that, think about what are your biggest distractions? What are your biggest interrupters? Now, I'm not saying that what you see listed here are distractions, but these are typical behaviors or tasks that students will engage in to not just get their academic obligations fulfilled, but their family, their work obligations, and so forth. So we have this continuum that you see here: urgency and importance. So basically, where do each of your obligations fall in terms of importance and urgency? And they may not actually be obligations. You see here we have social media listed, some things that may not be required of you, but you engage in them. You need to engage in them nonetheless to have balance in your life and so forth. So even things like exercise, we may not be required to do it, but it might be very important to us. So we might put it in the block of important and urgent. And then you think about your children, your kids, that's probably going to be an important and urgent matter as well. Reading a chapter for a class, where it really depends on when that chapter is due. So if you don't have to read that chapter for a week, it might be important, but maybe not urgent right at this particular moment. Now, value comes into play when we're thinking about self-management. So I always give my students at the University of Maryland College Park kind of this $1 million test. So if they were to get all of their assignments in, if they were given $1 million to get all of their assignments completed on time, would they do it? And most of the students I survey say yes, of course. So that $1 million is a motivator for you. So financial incentives are present now. So you have to think about this in a similar fashion. What are your motivators? What are your incentives to get that work in on time, to get your assignments completed? Planning is another aspect of self-management. So what I found helpful in college was to break my large projects down into smaller, more manageable tasks. And as you see here, we have an example of that. If you have a paper to write for your psychology class, how do you start that? What are some of the more smaller components of that paper? How do you break that down? So you have a paper and a 15-minute presentation, and then we've got some questions and items here that we want to be asking ourselves. How do we envision the end product looking? What are all of the pieces or components of the project? What are the different steps that we must do to complete the whole project? So we have to come up with a topic, for example, for the paper. We have to then research that topic. We might come up with an outline for the paper and for the presentation. So I don't want to be too long with this. So again, just kind of tying in with our theme for the current week, number 4, in creating your schedule, just some things to be thinking about related to the concept of self-management. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day.